Hello, cycling nerd. Welcome to this video. It's been a while and a lot has happened over those past few months. So for example, I moved to a new city, decided to take some time off and actually go on a 1-year sabbatical. Thanks to my company for making that possible. I also started to grow my hair longer, which looks weird, hence the casket. And yeah, I also thought about buying a new bike. But as you might know, it's quite difficult these days to buy a bike and actually get it like within this year. So instead of waiting that long, I decided to just give my existing bike some love and give it some upgrades. Because when I bought my current bike, which I termed Lando for a number of reasons, which I might explain in a different video, when I bought the bike, it's called the Canyon Endurace, which to me says it's made for endurance racing. Racing, being in the saddle for a long time. And yes, it's fast. Canyon, I love your bikes, recommend them to anybody who wants to know, but that name is just plain wrong. Because if I want to race for longer amounts of time, I need to be able to rest my arms. I need to be able to mount some tri-bars, aero bars, whatever you might call them. And that is just not possible. So my version has the H31 cockpit, which is one of those integrated aero cockpits. It's made from carbon, it's amazing, I love it, it looks awesome, but it's not supporting tri-bars. And the same is true for the H36, although, and here's the weird bit, if you go to the Canyon US website, there is an official accessory part that says this is a mount for the H36 Aero cockpit where you can mount your aero bars. It's not on sale anymore, and if you ask with Canyon directly, they tell you, oh no, it's not supported, it's not built for mounting tri-bars. So yeah, Canyon, if you watch this, fix that. That's weird. Anyway, so I did some research and in the end I decided, okay, I'm just going to mount one of those regular bars to my bike and then I can mount some tri-bars on it and then I'll be happy. So that's what's going to happen today, but that's not all. The other thing I'm sometimes missing on Lando is more gears. So it has amazing gears to go fast, but sometimes when I'm going up mountains, I'm missing a few gears. So the other thing I'm going to do today is upgrade it to an 11-32 cassette, which, as some of you might know, is not available from the Dura Ace range, so I have to mount an Ultegra one, but that's fine. Who are we kidding? The only thing that makes it a little bit more complicated is that I also have to mount a longer cage, but that shouldn't be too much work. And the third thing we're going to do today is, because I lost my rear brakes, and I'm not really sure why, but yeah, they're just gone. So I'm going to do a full bleed, which is going to be interesting. But the good thing is, I want to do the full thing the way Park Tool recommends it, with the double burping stuff. So in order to that, I need to be able to move my handlebars, and that's perfect when you're mounting your handlebars, right? So that should work out nicely. Let's see how it goes. So a whole week has passed and I'm back from what I consider the test ride of my new setup. And yeah, what can I say? It worked really good. So let's walk through it piece by piece. First, the thing you can't really see, that's the brake. Like I said, I lost the brakes on my rear wheel. I did the full bleed. As you saw when I showed the parts, I also replaced the brake pads. And everything works really nicely. So the bleed was a success. I have really crisp braking now. Absolutely perfect. As for the process, I would say it's definitely possible to do it on your own if you're a little tech savvy and not scared of like mineral oil. But I highly recommend not doing it on your own. Get somebody to help you. It's just really useful to have another helping hand or two, especially if it's about the rear wheel, because you need to tilt the bike in a way that the brake caliper is the lowest point on your whole bike. And that just makes it really a mess if you also have to do something on the handlebars at the same time. It's possible, but I'd not recommend it. But then, of course, there's the more visible parts, and that is the new handlebars, including the aero bars, which you can see behind me. And let me tell you, those things are absolutely amazing. Just saving a few watts by staying at the same speed or going at a higher speed with the same energy, it's so much fun and it makes riding so much more pleasurable. Also just to have another position to rest. Of course, German cycle paths are not really lending themselves to using tri-bars because oftentimes they're a mess. But still, it's amazing and I highly recommend it. I'm really happy I did that. Again, as for the process, mounting the handlebars was pretty easy. The only thing that I really needed to kind of take care of was the setting of my stem, because the integrated aero cockpit I previously used basically had like the spacers built in and this one doesn't. So yeah, I needed to correct that after the fact. When I built it, I didn't really set it to the correct height, so I needed to flip the stem, but I fixed that today, so now it all looks perfect. And as for the tri-bars, mounting them is super easy. Setting them is a bit fiddly because, well, you kind of need to test them in order to make them work really nice. And that's a bit of a problem. Which brings us to the third thing I changed, and that was the gearing. As you remember, I said I'm going to mount a bigger cassette so as to have more gears available, or actually not more gears, but higher gears available. So I decided to mount the 11 to 34 tooth cassette. That again worked pretty nicely. Also mounting the bigger cage for the rear derailleur was not that much of a problem. As it turned out, it's actually pretty easy, although you need to make sure you retighten that spring. So yeah, that was actually not a big problem mounting it. Only it turns out that I do have a slight amount of chain slip now. So when I put real big power in, which in my case means everything over 400 watts or something like that, my front chain blade tends to slip a little bit, which of course is annoying and quite dangerous, so I definitely need to fix that. I think it's a pretty easy fix, I just need to shorten the chain again a little bit. But that's just one thing to be aware of when you do something like that. Make sure that everything works. And here's the pro tip for all three of those changes. Don't do them the day before you start on a big ride. Because if you do have a problem, you can't really fix it and you have to live with it for your ride. In my case, that was a 475 kilometer ride to visit friends on the, well, pretty much on the coast of the Baltic Sea. It all worked perfectly and I got used to not invest so much power, which is a good thing on long endurance rides anyways. But just a pro tip, don't do bigger modifications to your bike the day before you leave on a trip, kids. Okay, and I think that's it. That's all I have to say. Some really, well, I consider them radical changes to Lando, so I termed him Lando 2.0. But everything worked really nicely. I'm really happy about it, and I'm also happy I tried doing it myself. Alright, that's it from my end then. Stay safe, have fun, and make sure to ride your bikes.